So, I've been thinking a lot about my father these past few weeks. This May will mark 11 years since he passed away. For most of my family, they made a much larger deal about last year, the 10-year anniversary of his death. And that makes sense. 10 years, that's an entire decade without him. But while little was said about this anniversary of his death, it was this year that really made me think more. You see, I was 11 when my father passed away. Now I'm 22. That means that starting the day after the 11th anniversary of his death, I lived a larger amount of time without my father in my life than with him. And that's kind of an arbitrary milestone to some extent, but it makes me think, and it makes me think about how large and how small of a role my father played in making me into the person I am today. They say that much of your personality is set in stone by the time you've reached about your fourth birthday. And being that I spent much more than 4 years with my father, I definitely see his personality in me, especially in times in which I am being outgoing and social, as he was usually the life of the party and the funniest and most sarcastic one in the room. However, most of the time I am shy. Generally speaking, I'm a quiet person. It's almost like there are two versions of myself. One that was created by the time I spent with my father, and the other created in the portion of my childhood that I spent without him. I think of all the things that I like and I am interested in. The more I think about it, there's a lot that I don't perfectly remember about him, because it was just so long ago, and I was just so young. But even though I can't remember every aspect of him, I still have those aspects of his personality that I will never lose. But again, that makes me think. I don't know much about my grandfather. He died when my father was young, so I never had the opportunity to meet him. I did speak to my father about him on several occasions, but I will never know what he really was like. When I look at my nieces and think about the children that I may have one day, I know that this will likely be the same for them with my father. All they will know of my father is stories passed on through me. But how much of me, my personality that I inherited from my father, did he inherit from my grandfather? At what point, and after how many generations, is an ancestor's personality diluted so much that their descendants' personalities will be unrecognizable from their own? If my nieces and nephews, and the children I may have one day, never had the opportunity to know my father, then the only thing that remains of my father are the aspects of him and his personality that were passed along. But if these aspects of their personality are quickly diluted, much like how my personality is very different from my father's, then there may soon be nothing left of my father. I believe that the best that I can do to prevent this is just talk about him as much as I can, and do my best to be as social and outgoing as possible to my nieces and children, so that they will inherit these traits which I inherited from him, and not the more shy and introverted traits that I inherited when he was gone.